Hey everybody, welcome back to the next episode of the Balanced Vibes podcast. My name is Kirsten. Thank you so much for being here with me today and watching or listening to this podcast episode. This is a Q&A episode where I'm answering two questions that I've gotten from listeners or followers. Usually these questions come to me via Instagram DMs, but you can of course submit them. You can send them to my email or comment on my blog or comment my YouTube videos. If you are used to listening to these podcasts on Apple Podcast app, then you may be not hearing them right now because I know there's something going on with the Apple Podcast. Not all the episodes are visible there. And last week, I actually asked my Instagram followers, do you see my new episodes? And 50% of you said yes, and 50% said no. So clearly there are some people who are not getting the new episodes, and I'm actually one of them. Mine don't update either, so I don't know what the deal is. I have reached out to Apple, but as you can guess, it's a big company. They probably have millions of requests every day. I hope that they get to mine quickly. And in the meantime, I hope that people who used to listen on Apple Podcasts have found another podcast app or are just following on YouTube. So hopefully everybody gets access to who wants to gets access to these videos or episodes, and that they will be back on Apple Podcasts soon as well. But today, like I mentioned, we're going to have a couple of questions that you have asked me. So the first question is going to be about eating healthy but not seeing fat loss results. The second question is about doing strength training but never feeling recovered. And then the third one is actually not a question. This is my own personal observation, something that I wanted to bring up regarding rest days and feeling fatigued, and when is it a good time to take a break and when you should be pushing on. All right, let's get right into the first question. And the first question is, I'm eating healthy, but I'm not seeing any weight loss or fat loss results. What is going on? So the very quick answer is that eating healthy is not a weight loss guarantee. Right? Eating healthy is not a weight loss guarantee because healthy foods has calories also, just like unhealthy food has calories. Yes, we can talk about what kind of effect these foods have on our hormonal health, and very clearly it's very obvious that healthier foods that are mostly coming from nature are way friendlier to our hormones than highly processed foods that are not healthy, and a lot of them has like who knows what in them that are not even basically edible ingredients, right? So of course, hormonally speaking, there's a big difference. But when it comes to weight loss and fat loss, just because a food is healthy doesn't mean that it cannot potentially cause you weight gain. And let's look at a couple of examples. So for example, nut butter. How easy is it to eat a lot of nut butter? Relatively easy. And how many calories is in 1 tablespoon? Over 100 generally, or around 100. And nut butter is tasty. Nut butter is generally seen as healthy, but we can still overeat it. I know very well how easy it is to overeat it because honestly, I had peanut butter only a few times before I moved to the United States because it's not that common in Europe. At least it wasn't back then. Now it's definitely more common, but it wasn't back then. And I loved when I came here, I was like, oh my goodness, this is the best thing ever made. I put it on sweet potato, I put it on cookies, I put it on ice cream, I put nut butter, of course, on oatmeal, every single thing, right? And I still think it's really delicious, and I still sometimes eat it just like plain. And I'm always joking to you that I have to make up for all the time that I didn't have access to peanut butter. But all this is to say it's very easy to overeat nut butter. The other food, for example, is nuts, right? Most people would argue and agree that nuts are healthy, right? We get the healthy fats from there. But again, how easy is it to eat a ton of nuts? Very easy to have a handful of nuts and then go back another handful and another handful. And this is where I found myself when I was in this phase of like, oh, I should be doing this intuitively. I want to lose a little bit body fat, but the only right way, I'm using air quotes here, is to do it intuitively because this is what I believed in a long time, and later realized that this is not right at all. I would just eat a lot of nuts. I love nuts. So of course they add up. You can easily eat like 500 plus calories if you just go back like 3 times. You can eat more than 500 calories. So another example of really healthy food, but has a lot of calories. Another example that I've seen from one of my clients was homemade granola. yeah, sounds really healthy, right? You have some nuts and you got some seeds and some oats and dried fruit and all that kind of stuff. But then all this stuff adds up. And if you sweeten it with like maple syrup and honey, and by the way, none of this is to say that you should never eat these things. Absolutely eat these things. But let's just understand that just because something is healthy doesn't mean it's calorie free. It still has calories. And when we eat too much of it, it will still add up. Another example would be, for example, dry fruit. Mostly, yeah, a pretty healthy thing to eat. But how easy is it to overeat it and then, end up with 300, 400, 500 calories that you just snacked on and didn't even realize? This is the first reason why you may not be seeing fat loss and weight loss results, even though you are eating healthy foods. The other reason might be that the foods that you think are healthy are actually not that healthy at all. And a couple of traps that people fall into are when something says on the wrapper or the packaging says protein, we assume that this is healthy. Or when it says keto, then we assume this is healthy. Or when it says low fat, we automatically assume that this is a healthy food. But these words do not mean that the food is necessarily healthy. So let's look at something like keto. Okay, you can buy a keto ice cream. And keto, generally, it means that it is low in carbs and high in fats. But if something is high in fats, it's naturally high in calories too. So you may think, oh, that's a keto ice cream there. I'm going to buy, the whole pint. It's good. It's healthy for me. You're going to buy it. You're going to eat it. And then you'll realize that you just ate like 800, 900 calories. Or if something has protein in it, you got to be really careful with that too, because even if this item is high protein, which it often actually isn't, it doesn't mean that it cannot be high in other macros and it cannot be high in overall calories too. So one example that comes to mind is the Lenny and Larry's protein cookie. I don't know if you've ever had that, but they advertise it, I believe, as a protein cookie. Now, the cookie itself, it's huge, right? It's large, but it's not hard to eat the whole thing. Let's be honest here. So we could eat the whole thing. And I just know that I have to, if I ever have it, I don't have it too often at all. But if I ever have it, I'm gonna usually cut it in half and have half and then the other half later. But when you actually look at the calories, then the whole cookie has 420 calories, right? And so out of that, I think it's only 16 grams of protein. So not really that high protein food. And if you eat half of it, it only has 8 grams of protein. So I wouldn't really call that a protein food. I think egg is better protein source than that cookie. So watch out for that word too. And the other word, of course, low fat. So low fat also doesn't mean that the food is necessarily healthy. Low fat can still be high in carbs. It can still be high in calories. And low fat, I think, is probably not as cool thing anymore as it once was. But I feel like a lot of people still associate that with, oh, that's healthy, right? That's why I'm going to buy it and eat it. So these were the two first reasons. And the third reason why, if you're eating healthy but not seeing weight loss, fat loss results, is that maybe you're eating healthy from Monday through Friday and keep your calories at a reasonable range. But what happens in the weekends? So a lot of times the weekends are a little bit different. People tend to go out more, especially now, places are more open, tend to have a little bit more alcohol. And what alcohol also does is that it increases our appetite, right? So we just snack more, we nibble on things a little bit more, and then we overeat those things. And a lot of times alcohol also tends to mess with our sleep. And then one sleepless night and the next day we're like, I'm craving all the carbs, right? So you see how this domino effect kind of goes. And I'm not saying that this is everybody. I'm also not saying that I never have alcohol. Absolutely not. So anything that I say here, like nothing should ever be taken as like, yes, this is it, or no, this is not it, like extremes. And I think this is what I say in the introduction of this podcast too. We're not doing like the black and white mindset or yes or no mindset here. We are trying to find that balance, but I'm simply explaining to you why it's not that easy that, oh, I'm eating healthy, I should be always losing weight or losing fat. So see what you're doing in the weekend. What happens in weekends? Are those 2 days or maybe even 3 days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, are they way different from what you're doing the first 4 or 5 days of the week? Because these things add up too. And if you are having, all meals out or, a couple of whatever donuts here and then a little bit of wine there, then this stuff adds up, even if you eat relatively healthy and within normal calorie range the other days of the week. So this was the first question and answer. The second question is, I want to build muscle and I used to lift weights, but I never felt recovered. I was always sore and achy. How can I still build muscle? Okay, so a couple of reasons why you may be feeling sore and achy. So obviously the first thing is overreaching. Are you pushing yourself way too hard? Yes, I've been talking about it before that you want to lift weights in a way that the last couple of reps feel really heavy. But it doesn't mean that you're going to go and crush at the gym every single workout, or that you are so fatigued after every single workout that you cannot move. So I don't know if this is this person's experience, but I just want to say that pay attention to how your body feels, and you don't have to push every time super hard. Some of the workouts you go in with more like mindset of, I'm gonna move, I'm gonna work hard, but I'm not gonna push my limits every time, right? So you have to be aware of that, so you don't always overreach your body. So the other thing might be that maybe you're just working out too often and you're not giving yourself a break. And rest days are very important, so your body can heal and it can recover. So when I say heal, I'm not saying that anything's broken, but there are small muscle tears in your muscles. So you want to give your body the opportunity to heal them, because this is where the growth happens and this is where the strength happens. This is how you actually get stronger and get the benefits. So if you are always working out, if you don't give yourself rest days, then all your body does all the time is recovery. But when does it build and when does it strengthen? So that's why it's important that you have rest days too. I typically personally do workout day and then rest day and workout and rest. Sometimes there are 2 back-to-back workouts, but that doesn't mean that we're going super hard on both of these days. So there has to be time and place for lighter workouts too. So don't try to crush it every single workout. The other reason why you may be feeling super achy and sore all the time is that maybe you're not sleeping enough. Sleep is so important. And as somebody who has struggled a lot with sleep, I can tell you, like, it's night and day difference if you get a good night's sleep and when you don't, because your body, again, needs time to recover. It's also, of course, so important for your mood, for your cognitive functioning, like even your motivation, like, do I want to go and do the workout? Because if you don't, if you feel like, everything's so blah, I just have to go, I have to get it done because it feels like a job and I have to do it, that it's no fun, and you're not going to stick with it too long, or at least you're going to feel really like resentful, like, oh, I have to do this, and you're not going to feel great. And lastly, what I think of is your food. Are you eating? Are you eating enough calories? And are you also getting enough proteins and carbohydrates with your post-workout meal? In general, I would like everybody to eat before working out too, if possible. I know some people are working out like 5 a.m. in the morning and they really don't have the time. They don't want to get up at 4 to have a meal. So, okay, if you want to do that, if you don't have the other option, I guess you could get away with it, but this is not what I prefer, because you want to give your body enough resources to use when you are going through your workout. But then what happens after workouts, you definitely want to eat, and you want to make sure that you have about equal amount of carbohydrates and protein, both in this post-workout meal. The fat can be a little bit a smaller portion, but proteins and carbs, and eat enough, really. Like, I don't like to see those post-workout meals that are like 200 calories. If this is your snack, I guess fine, yes. But if you eat like 30 minutes after, that's fine. But if it's all you eat and for the next 3-4 hours you don't eat anything, then this is definitely not enough for you. So nutrition is one of the biggest things that I feel like people overlook, especially women. There's this myth also that when I go longer without food, I think I will burn fat more, or the body goes into like my fat resources and start taking from them. How is it going to make you feel though? You're going to feel so fatigued. You're going to feel so exhausted. Your body's not recovering. So ideally you want to eat in about 30 minutes after you finish your workout. It's never a problem for me personally. Usually never a problem, because working out makes you hungry. You want to put the energy back into your body, and you want to support your muscle growth. You want to support the tissue growth. So make sure that you don't forget to eat and have at least 20 grams of carbs and proteins with your post-workout food or snack. And then make sure, if it is a snack only, that you have a bigger meal pretty soon after that as well. And the last topic I wanted to talk about today is the importance of rest, and when is it a good time to push through and when is it a good time to rest and recover. I know that many people who are listening here are having this very like go-getter mindset, like, gotta do this no matter what. This is what I do. I'm disciplined. This is who I am committed, and I will not give up, right? So we start thinking that taking a rest day when we are tired, this is like giving up. This is being weak. We start feeling bad. We even start feeling guilty when we are listening to our bodies. Now think about it for a second. If you are exhausted, you had a really hard week. Maybe you had a lot of stuff going on at work, maybe a lot of stuff going on at home. Maybe you are in a place in your cycle where you just feel really depleted and exhausted. Like, when you honestly think about it, is it a good time to push your body to do more? Is it really? Especially if you only slept 4 hours or 5 hours. Is it a good place? Is it a good time to push your body and ask it to perform a really heavy workout? And I think you agree with me that it's not a good idea, because you are sleep deprived. You are not going to get as much out of your workout as you would normally. You're only putting more stress on your body if you do that. You're causing more inflammation, by the way. If you're not sleeping well, if you're super stressed out, your cortisol levels are high, your inflammation levels are high, and by now doing a hard workout, you're going to be more inflamed. You're going to be more bloated. You're going to feel more puffy. It's not going to go that well. So now, is there a time when it's okay to push through even though you are tired? And I would say, unless your sleep was terrible, it wasn't like the previous days were not super hard. It's just a day when you're like, I don't quite feel it. But then I would say, if there's no like obvious reason, then go to the gym or wherever you work out and get started and see what happens. Because sometimes when you start moving, things get better. And it was just kind of like this one day when you were not feeling 100%. And we all have those days, like I think plenty of those days. But when you get moving, you actually feel like, oh, it actually feels really nice. I actually want to do this. And I know it's going to make me feel better. So this is a good time to still go and see what you can do. And you'll likely find that, okay, I can get through this workout, no problem, and I feel better afterwards. But there's a big difference. So I want you to think about what happened previously. Were you tired already like 3 days or more before that, super depleted because of all the things of work, home, family stuff, I don't know, injuries, fatigue, whatever? Was there already a period of time when you experienced all that and now it's just accumulating? So this is not a good time to go and push yourself. But it was just like one day when you were kind of like, yeah, I feel not super awesome, but I think I can do it, then go and try it. So there's a big difference. And one thing that I often recommend to my clients is use the traffic light metaphor, sort of. So think about, how am I feeling today? Am I feeling green, yellow, or red? And of course, green is when everything is going really well, right? You've been sleeping well, your stress management is on point, there's nothing crazy going on with work, you've been eating well, like life is pretty well balanced and you're feeling good for the most part. So this is the green day. Go and do the workout that you're planning to do. Now, what about yellow? Yellow is like a couple of things were not exactly perfect. For example, maybe your sleep was an hour less than what it usually is, or you haven't had a chance to eat all your protein or your calories, or maybe there was something that kept you up a little bit, or whatever it is. And you feel like, I'm not 100%, but I want to move a little bit. Then go to the gym and maybe cut your reps in half, or cut your sets in half, or maybe just even get on a treadmill and walk a little bit. Find this alternative. You don't have to do the whole thing. You do not always have to push through. I just want everybody to understand that, because I see it's so common. The women think that no matter what they have to do. Okay, so this is your yellow day. So you're just going to modify, you're going to cut your rounds or reps a little bit lower. You're going to do something, but you're not going to necessarily do the whole thing. And then there's going to be red days. The red days like, okay, 5 hours of crappy sleep, feeling super irritable, feeling like I have a headache, and I don't know, like have a lot of stuff going on right now. Work is extremely busy. So this is the day when you want to rest mostly. Yeah, maybe you go for a walk. Maybe you just like chill and go at a really slow pace, smell some flowers, whatever you want to do. This is going to be your movement for the day. You can also foam roll, you can stretch, do things like that. But please don't go and do the hardest version of the workout, because it's not going to go well. And like I said, you're only going to add more stress. You're only going to add more inflammation. You're only going to mess with your sleep even more. Your sleep is not going to get better if your sleep is already bad because of overtraining, because of overly being super stressed out. When you now put more stress on your body, your sleep is not going to get better. I can guarantee you that. I told you I've experienced that many times. So you have to take that stress off from your body. And the way you do it is you just find gentle movements, try to de-stress as much as possible. Maybe take some bath or try to delegate some of the stuff that you don't necessarily have to do and somebody else can do them for you, and see if you can get yourself back to balance. And then maybe you probably go back to yellow, and then one day you're going to be back in green where you can go into your workouts again. So there's no reason to push yourself past the point where you are healthy. If you are pushing yourself constantly all the time, I can guarantee you it's going to backfire, because it's so much easier to take maybe a week off if you feel really burnt out, and understand that this is going to help you to be consistent for the next month and 2 months and 3 months, versus ignoring it and then pushing until you get to the point where your body is like, I'm done. And then you're going to have to take a month off maybe because you're so burnt out. And I'm saying this because many of you know that I was at this point too with my hormonal health. I never took any rest. I was always under eating. And eventually at the end of 2016 and then the first part of 2017, I had to take 5 months off to get my hormones back on track, because I didn't have a period. I was really tired, had major sleep issues, because I had been ignoring my signs for such a long time. And not everybody needs to lose their period. Not everybody gets the same symptoms. But if you're chronically feeling fatigued, you are on your way there. And I don't want this for you. I want you to take care of yourself. Okay, this is all that I have for you today and for this week. I hope you're having a good time this weekend. And if you have any questions, you can always send them over to me. Can't wait to chat with you again. Bye-bye.